Welcome to From Stitches to Patterns. I'm Heather from Strings and Threads. In this series, we explore how to take the stitches you already know and turn them into beautiful, functional projects that you design yourself. I'll walk you through the thought process behind each piece, the math, the textures, the choices, so you can start thinking like a designer, not just a maker. We're starting simple, but each class we build on the last, helping you understand how stitch structure turns into pattern design. Whether you knit, crochet, or work Tunisian stitches, you'll find something here to inspire you. So grab your yarn, settle in, and let's turn stitches into patterns. In this class, we're going to design 2 crochet coasters, one simple and one with a little extra flair. Coasters are small, quick, and the perfect way to learn how to design in the round. We'll start with basic single crochet version to understand the math behind keeping the circle flat. Then we'll make a colorful mandala-style coaster that adds texture and a pop of design. Before we get started, here's what you'll need. For yarn, I'm using Knit Pal Cotton to the Core DK. Cotton yarns are perfect for coasters because they're absorbent, sturdy, and easy to wash. You can use any DK or light worsted weight cotton or cotton blend you already have on hand. Just make sure it's not acrylic, since that can melt under heat. You'll also need a 4mm crochet hook or the size that feels comfortable with your yarn, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle for weaving in your ends, and a stitch marker. Once you've gathered your material, we'll start by talking about how circles work in crochet and how to use simple math to design your own. Before we jump into our first coaster, let's talk about how circles work in crochet and how we keep them laying flat. When you crochet in the round, each stitch adds a bit of height and width. To keep that circle flat instead of curling up like a bowl, you need to increase evenly as you go. Here's the easiest way to think about it. However many stitches you start with in the center, that's how many stitches you'll increase by in every round. So if you start with 8 single crochets in your magic ring, you'll add 8 more stitches to the next round, then that brings you to 16. The next round increases by 8 again for a total of 24, then 32, then 40, then 48, and so on. Each round adds the same number you started with. It's a simple, predictable rhythm. Those increases get spaced farther apart as the circle grows. At first, every stitch is an increase. Then you'll do 1 single crochet between increases, then 2, then 3, and each round that number goes up by 1. That's what keeps your circle expanding evenly. Now you'll notice I'm not joining at the end of each round. Instead, I'm using a stitch marker to mark the first stitch, and I'll work continuously in a spiral. That helps avoid the little line you get when you join, chain 1, and start a new round. For a smooth, seamless look, especially on projects like coasters, continuous rounds look much cleaner. If you ever lose track of where the round begins, just move your stitch marker up to the first stitch each time you finish a round. Here's a good design checkpoint. If your circle starts to ripple, it means you've added too many increases. If it starts to curl, it needs more. You can always adjust mid-round. That's part of what makes designing so fun. You're learning to read your fabric instead of just following a pattern. Once you understand that relationship, increases, stitch height, and spacing, you can design any circular project, coasters, mandalas, even hats. All right, let's put it into practice and make our first project, the simple single crochet coaster. Now that we understand how circles grow, let's make our first coaster, a simple single crochet version. I'm starting with the magic ring and working 8 single crochets into the center. From here, I'll be working continuously in the round using the stitch marker to mark the first stitch of each round. In round 2, we'll increase in every stitch. In round 3, we'll follow that pattern we talked about. 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 2 in the next, and repeat all the way around. Each new row adds the same number of stitches we started with, spaced a little farther apart each time. Keep checking that your circle stays flat. If it starts to ripple, skip an increase here or there. If it curls, add one. Remember, you're designing this, so you get to adjust as you go. When your coaster is about 4.5 to 5 inches across, go ahead and stop increasing. Work one final round of single crochet all the way around with no increase to finish the edge. And that's it. That's how you do your basic coaster. Now that you understand how to keep a circle flat, let's look at ways to design with that structure. This mandala style coaster is a great example of how you can layer color, texture, and stitch height to create something that feels totally unique without needing a written pattern. When you design your own, think about your circle sections. Each round is a new design opportunity, a chance to change color, texture, or stitch type. For example, I started with a solid center. That gave the design a stable base. Then I added the puff stitch round. Puff stitches add texture and height, but because they're bulkier, they tighten the circle slightly. If you ever add a taller or thicker stitch like that, you'll probably need to add a few extra increases in the next round to keep your circle flat. And that's exactly what happened here. My half double crochet row, the blue here, started to curl, so I adjusted it by adding an extra increase in the pattern. 1 half double crochet, 2 half double crochets in the next stitch all the way around. Once I did that, it laid flat again. That's one of the most important lessons in design. Stitches change the shape of your fabric. Taller stitches or textured stitches pull the center tighter. Smaller stitches relax it. You can balance that by adding or skipping increases as needed. You're not following a formula anymore, you're reading the fabric. The other big design element here is color. Changing color between rounds adds visual rhythm and helps each texture stand out. You can make a calm tonal mandala with shades of the same color, or go bright and bold for a boho look. Even one color change can make a simple stitch pattern feel intentional. When you design, plan your colors like layers. Darker shades can anchor the center, lighter or brighter ones draw the eye outward. Finally, think about how you want the edge to feel. A flat edge feels modern and simple. A scalloped or picot edge adds softness or a floral touch. You can even experiment with front post or back post stitches to build subtle ridges. The key is to change one thing at a time. If you add texture, keep your color calm. If you add bold color, use simpler stitches. That's how you create balance in design. So instead of following my exact stitches, use this as an inspiration. Start with a flat circle base, try adding textured round or change colors halfway through, experiment and see how your circle reacts. That's how you learn design. In the next video, we'll take some of these principles and stretch them out, literally, as we design a longer project like a table runner. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy that you were part of this design class. I hope you learned something, and I would love to see how your designs have turned out. I have my email in the description, and I would love if you emailed me pictures.